Hey, what's up? We're making a 2D rhythm game using Flutter and Flame Engine. All right, so here's our game. Let's check out what we did last time. Last time we just added pause to the game. So we just go in here, we select the song that we want to play, then notes start coming down. And what we added last time was this little pause button here. So we click pause, and then you can also click play, and it starts back up. Ran into a bug last time. If you want to, go back and watch the last video, check it out. But the goal of today is to add the tapping mechanism to these notes. So what we're gonna have to do is draw a square where we want the player to be able to touch the notes, and also create an area so that they can be tapped. That's inside of that goal. If the player taps the notes as they're reaching the center of the goal, then they get points. And if not, for now, we'll just call it game over. We'll have the player restart the game, choose a new song. That's the idea of today. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we have a screenshot of our game. I just want to run over what we're gonna do. So the notes are coming down from the top, and now we're just going to draw a goal around the notes where we want the player to tap the notes. Now the second thing is we don't want it to be pixel perfect. When the note hits the center, they have to tap it specifically right then. So we're gonna create this margin of error, which we can visualize that as just a smaller rectangle inside of our bigger rectangle. So as long as the center of the note is within that smaller rectangle, then we'll count it as a goal. And for now, we'll just make it turn green if they hit the note at the right time. But if they tap the note here, or they tap it when the center of the note is here, then it doesn't count. It doesn't count as a hit. We're gonna pause the game engine, and then we're gonna throw up a game over overlay that has a restart button. And that's the idea for today. So let's go ahead and jump into some code. So let's start by cleaning up our game object so that we can add that square like we were talking about earlier. And to do that, we're just going to take these two note managers and we're going to extract out a private method for this class and call that private method in the onload method. So let's go down here. The return value is going to be void. We don't really care what the return value is. Underscore is how you denote a private method in Dart. So we'll just say add note manager. Now we've got to figure out what arguments it's going to take. So we know this is essentially the outcome we want. So we'll just take this bit of code, copy and paste it inside of our new function. So essentially we're going to have the same arguments as the note manager. So we're going to have a tempo. We'll call that BPM for beats per minute. We want the beats, which is going to be a list of dynamic. Next, we're going to want the starting X, which is just going to be a double. And then we're going to want the end X as well, which is going to be a double. And last but not least, we want the sprite. And now we'll just say manager. We'll change this to BPM. Oh, you know what? I just noticed I didn't name this variable. And this is going to be beats. And then this is going to be the start X, and this is going to be the end X. Then last, we'll just add it to the game, just like that. So now we have our add note manager function, and we just have to go up here, and we'll first get rid of these two adds. We no longer need that. And this is essentially where everything's going to happen. So we'll call add note manager, okay? And the drum tempo goes first. The next argument is going to be the start X. And then the next argument is going to be the end X. And then last is going to be the sprite. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do that for this one as well. Note manager. And we have no problems down in our compiler. So let's see if that still works. And there we go. The notes are still coming down from the top and heading to the bottom. So that was a good refactor. All right, so now that we've cleaned up the game object, we're going to add that nice little rectangle to our game so that players know where to tap the notes. And we're gonna use a polygon. That way we can round the edges a little bit and just make it a little nicer. So to add the polygon, all we have to do is type in add. Luckily, Flame gives us a Polygon Component, and we're going to use this from definition factory. And so what it takes is a list of normalized vertices. And what that means is the percentages of the size argument. Let's just go ahead and do vector2 -1, -1, and we'll go ahead and paste in this 4 times. So I believe now we're going clockwise. Next it takes size argument, and for this we're just going to do a vector2. The X, we're going to make it canvas size X, and let's make it 95% of the entire X dimension. And then for our Y, how tall we want the goal to be, we're going to say note. For the Y, we're going to want to use the final size for the note. And we'll bring up the note manager. So currently the start size is on the note manager. I want to bring that over to the note because it just feels like a property of the note. And then let's also make a static for the final size of the note as well. And what this is going to be is the start size times the note manager scale factor. Okay, so if we go back to the game object, now we can make this goal here, the note final size .y. Let's multiply it by 5%. So it gives it a little bit of more buffer. As the note comes into it, we give it a little bit of space like we talked about earlier. So we also need to change these. For now, we're going to go ahead and comment these out. And so we'll just see the polygon show up on the screen. One last thing we want to do is we want to create a paint object for this and set its color, and we'll just do colors white. We will also go ahead and add the position, and so this is going to be a vector 2 as well. We're going to go halfway the canvas X because that'll be the center of our polygon. Because the Flame engine starts at 0 at the top and goes all the way down, we're going to go canvas Y minus, let's go 1.5 times the note final size .y. That's going to put our polygon 1.5 notes above the bottom of our screen. Let's try it out. Cool. So the notes aren't going to come down, but now you can hopefully see this on the video. But we've got our grayish background for the game, but then we have this little rectangle, this white rectangle right here. So it's perfect. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to take each of these corners, duplicate them, and also change them. So I try to zoom in a little bit, so hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to see. Actually, you know what? We'll go ahead and change the color to red. That'll make it super obvious. There we go. Now we have the red square, and it'll make it a lot easier to see what's going on. Let's just see what happens. Let's change this to 0.9, and we wait for the reload. Nothing's happened. Okay. Let's change the next one. Change the Y of it to 0.9. There we go. So now we can see we've changed the X to be negative 90% of the entire size in the X and in the Y for these 2 points. And if we keep doing this, alternating between the X and the Y, and we do the last one, polygon hits again. I don't really like that it's so big, so we're just going to change all of these to, let's try 95%. So we change all of them, save it. Looks great. Looks good enough for us. I think if I was going to spend more time on this game, I would go in and add more points to the polygon and just round it on out, or do something entirely different like use a sprite. All right, now that we have the polygon done, let's add tapping to the notes, and to start off with, we'll just turn them green whenever they're tapped, and that'll be it. First thing we're going to do is let's add the notes back in, at least one of them. And then go up to the definition of our game class, and we're just going to let it know that it's going to have tappable objects in it by saying with has tappable components. Next, we'll go over to our note and we'll add tappable to our note class. Then we'll have to override the tap down method. And it gives us tap down info, which we're not going to use. I'm just going to always return false because that lets it know not to send that tap event further down the line. Okay, so we have our on tap down method. And for now, let's just turn the note green. We'll add color effect. So we'll just say colors green and duration. Let's just say it happens over half a second. So let's jump back over to the game and see if that worked. All right, here comes the notes. Now if we tap them, beautiful. It's just that simple. So that's what I love about Flame Engine. Flame Engine makes it super simple to add features to your game. It's a game engine. That was super cool, super easy. So now let's just add a little if-else statement and we'll decide if the player gets a point or the note turns green or if the game is over. In order to make that happen, our tappable note needs to know about the position of this polygon. So we're going to extract this out into a getter method, which is going to return a vector2. So we'll just copy that, change this position to a return. And we can come up here, replace that with goal position. Sweet, that still works, good to go. So now if you remember earlier, we said there was going to be a smaller rectangle inside of the larger goal. And that's what we're going to do now. The position that we just got from the game is going to be directly in the middle. So now we want a little bit above and a little bit below that center point. And we'll just call that the margin of error. And we'll have this be is the final size of this note. And for now, we'll just make it 20%. So we're going to have a margin of error that's 20% of the note above and below the center of the goal. And what that will look like will be if game reference goal position .y, that's the center of the goal, minus the margin of error is less than the position of this note, the y position, and the position .y of this note is less than the game reference goal position .y plus the margin of error. So that'll be our positive case. So that means the position of the note is in between the margin of error. And to demonstrate that, we'll just grab the green effect and put it up here. And in the else statement, we'll just make that red. And now if we come back to our game, if we tap up here, they turn red. But if we tap, oh man, so hard. If we tap when they are close to the center, they turn green. That's awesome. Let's take a quick look at the game over overlay that I've created. It has a really cool thing in it called the backdrop filter. And so what this is going to do is give us a little, it's going to blur out the background. And then the rest of it's pretty simple. It's just a container with a vertical column. It's going to say game over. And then we're going to have a button to restart. If we jump over to our notes, all we have to do is come down in here and we'll say game ref dot pause equals true. And then we'll delete this color effect. And we'll just add the game over overlay. So game ref dot overlays, and here we'll just import our game over ID. Now if we click a note that is outside of the margin of error, we'll get the game over overlay. Let's see what that looks like. So green, 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 game over. Cool. Like I said, it blurs out the background and gives us a chance to restart. Awesome. Let's see a full demo of our game now. Okay, I've added the debugger on so we can just see exactly where everything is. Boom, missed that last one. Game over. Click restart, starts back from the beginning. Well, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. We'll see you next time.